Hello everyone! Welcome to Untold History, the channel where we explore the lesser-known events that have shaped history. Today we travel to 19th century Argentina to analyze the Revolution of 1874, a military uprising led by Bartolomé Mitre against the government of Nicolás Avellaneda. This was one of the most important conflicts in the consolidation of the republican system in Argentina, and marked a key moment in the political tensions between the liberal and conservative sectors of the time. It was not an isolated event, but the result of a series of tensions accumulated in Argentine politics during the previous decades. These tensions arose in the context of the development of the Argentine Republic after years of civil wars between Unitarians and Federalists, who had fought to impose their respective models of political organization in the country. Since the fall of Juan Manuel de Rosas in 1852, the liberal sectors, mainly led by figures such as Mitre, had imposed themselves on Argentine politics, although not without facing resistance. Mitre's presidency between 1862 and 1868 was key to the consolidation of the republic around a liberal and unitary project that favored the centralization of power in Buenos Aires. Mitre promoted the idea of a country organized under the principles of the Constitution of 1853, which had been rejected in several provinces. Mitre's victory at the Battle of Pavon in 1861 put an end to the armed confrontations between Unitarians and Federalists, which allowed Buenos Aires to become the center of the country's political and economic power. However, the pacification was not complete, as tensions between the provinces and Buenos Aires continued, especially regarding the distribution of power and resources. After Mitre's presidency, Domingo Sarmiento, another exponent of Argentine liberalism, assumed the presidency in 1868. Sarmiento promoted a series of reforms in areas such as education, infrastructure, and communications, seeking to modernize the country and strengthen the republican system. However, his government also faced conflicts, especially related to the War of the Triple Alliance, which involved Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay against Paraguay. The war was extremely costly in economic and human terms, and left a legacy of internal tensions in the country, especially in the interior provinces, which had contributed a large part of the military contingent. In 1874, when Sarmiento's term ended, presidential elections were held to elect his successor. In these elections, the National Autonomist Party, led by Avellaneda, won as the winner. Avellaneda, a politician and lawyer of Tucumán origin, represented the continuity of the liberal project of Mitre and Sarmiento, but with a more conciliatory approach to the provinces. However, this victory was disputed by Mitre, who considered that the elections had been fraudulent and that his candidacy had been deliberately harmed by the manipulation of the results in several provinces. Mitre's disagreement with the electoral result led him to organize an armed rebellion against the Avellaneda government. Mitre organized an army with the aim of deposing Avellaneda and claiming what he considered a legitimate victory in the elections. This rebellion was seen by Mitre and his followers as an attempt to correct what they considered electoral fraud and to restore the purity of the republican system. The revolution began on September 24, 1874, when forces loyal to Mitre rose up in arms in various parts of the country, especially in Buenos Aires and in some provinces of the interior. Conflict soon spread, and Mitre attempted to mobilize his followers to confront the federal army. The Mitreist forces consisted mainly of his loyal soldiers, who had served in previous campaigns, as well as volunteers who supported his cause. However, the army loyal to the government under the command of Julio Roca was quick to respond to the rebellion. One of the key moments was the Battle of La Verde, which took place on November 26, 1874. In this, Mitre's rebel forces faced the National Army led by Roca. Despite his military experience, Mitre was defeated. The battle was a disaster for the rebels, who were unable to overcome the numerical superiority and armament of the federal army. This defeat of Mitre marked the end of his attempt to seize power by force. Shortly after, on December 2, 1874, Mitre was captured and imprisoned in Buenos Aires. With his arrest, the rebellion collapsed, and forces loyal to the government re-established control throughout the country. Avellaneda decided not to impose brutal repression on Mitre and his followers, and opted for a general amnesty, with the aim of avoiding further polarization and consolidating peace in the country. This policy of reconciliation was seen as an attempt to prevent the division between the Mitristas and the autonomists from leading to a new civil war. Mitre's defeat marked the end of his direct influence on Argentine politics, although he would remain a prominent and respected figure in the years that followed. For his part, Avellaneda continued his presidential term until 1880, and his government focused on the expansion of the agricultural frontier, economic development, and the construction of key infrastructures such as the railroad. In addition, he promoted a policy of conciliation with the provinces, trying to integrate the interior regions into the national project. One of the most important legacies of this event was the consolidation of the power of the central state and the strengthening of the republican system in Argentina. Mitre's defeat and Avellanada's decision not to impose severe reprisals allowed the country to avoid a new large-scale civil war, such as those that had characterized the previous decades. In addition, he stressed the importance of democratic institutions, since the conflict was resolved within the political framework, despite the attempted insurrection. However, it also revealed the deep divisions that continued to exist in Argentine politics. Tensions between Buenos Aires and the provinces, between advocates of a centralized state and those who wanted greater regional autonomy, remained a central issue in national politics. These divisions would continue to influence Argentine politics in the decades that followed, and the country would continue to face challenges on its path to political stability and national cohesion. The impact of this event was felt for many years, as the country continued its process of modernization and territorial expansion under the presidency of Avellaneda and, subsequently, under the leadership of figures such as Roca, who would become president in 1880. Roca's policy of consolidating the power of the central state and his famous desert campaign to subdue the indigenous populations of the south of the country were some of the key developments that emerged after the revolution. This revolution was a decisive moment in the political history of Argentina. Although it was a failed attempt by Mitre to challenge the Avellaneda government, the conflict revealed the underlying tensions in Argentine politics and demonstrated the need for greater institutional stability. The government's success in quelling the rebellion allowed Argentina to continue its process of consolidation as a unified and developing nation, although political and social challenges would continue in the decades that followed. Thank you for joining us. If you liked the episode, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell for more revealing stories.